All right, I was watching a clip of our Prime Minister claiming he wants to help first-time buyers, young Canadians.
Initiatives to build greater density, particularly around public transit, that are going to allow people to get into the housing market with their first starter condo, starter home. These are the kinds of things that get people's toes in the door.
Get their toe into the housing market. Now, I've never heard that expression before. I always thought it was getting your foot in the door. But a bit of a gaffe here. I think a lot of first-time buyers are going to end up slamming their toes in the housing market here. It's just getting more and more challenging. A lot of people, I think, are going to be long-term, lifetime renters here, unfortunately. That's just how it's going, particularly in our urban cores like Vancouver and Toronto. There's a confluence of factors here driving this. The first is population growth. According to the CMHC, we're going to have another 3.5 million new immigrants in Canada by 2030. The next is geographical constraint. We're locked in by oceans, mountains, agricultural land reserve, and the US border. And if you want an example of that, look no further than our downtown peninsula in Vancouver. Vancouver House, you'll notice it's built on a podium and flares out at the top. A lot of you guys have remarked it looks like it's toppling over. Of course, it's an optical illusion, but groundbreaking, very architecturally significant. I love the design here, but there's a functional reason why it was designed that way. It's because it was built on what is essentially a remnant lot, lodged between the on-ramps of a bridge. Obviously, we are running out of buildable land in our downtown cores and surrounding neighborhoods, and the land we do have seems to take forever to develop. That north side of False Creek, I've seen some incredible renderings for that. And yet that whole expo lands has sat like that for decades. Should have been redeveloped many years ago. We need to find a way to fast track the approval process, which is what I've been saying here for many years. Apparently government regulations and red tape, delays adds about $650,000 in costs to the end user on the typical Vancouver home. So the Trudeau Liberals, the NDP, all levels of government, we've had several left-wing socialist mayors here over the years, they all want to try and tax the market into submission, whether it's a speculation, vacancy tax, empty homes tax. I know the Premier here wants to bring in a flipping tax now starting next year. Nobody's flipping homes in this market, but we even had a foreign buyers tax Mr. Trudeau brought in here, 10%. They upped it to 20%. Now we have an all-out foreign buyers ban, but we haven't had foreign buyers in a very, very long time. We've had Chinese buyers, but they all had their permanent resident status. Poilievre, the Conservatives, they want to take a different approach, cut red tape, reduce government fees, just get the government out of the way. And that's what I've been saying for so long here now. Government intervention in free markets, it's not helping anything. It's making things far more difficult. You have to get shovels in the ground here. That's why I'm a conservative. I just got my conservative membership last week. But for those of you on the outside looking in, and I know there's a lot of you, waiting on the government to help you. Both sides are going to make big promises here. I remember that, the last mayor was terrible as well, but the one before that, we had Kennedy Stewart. Prior to that, we had Gregor Robertson. Remember, he got elected on the premise that he was going to solve homelessness and solve the housing crisis. Well, how did that go? So, it's all about optics. It's all smoke and mirrors. Governments there's very little they can actually do. The main driver of prices is supply and demand, of course, but also the interest rates. Now, interest rates have kept a lid on the prices somewhat in 2023 and 2024, but those rates now are coming down, and they're coming down fairly sharply. We're also seeing the introduction of 30-year mortgage amortizations on CMHC insured loans. So people buy homes not based on the price. They buy it based on the monthly service cost. And if those rates are coming down and amortizations are getting extended, in my opinion, that is going to exert upward pressure on the prices, which I think is already starting to happen here because prices actually increased between September and November. Inventory is declining now. We were at 15,142 units in September in the GVRD, 13,006 November. So that inventory is coming down now. Sales to active listings ratio, how we measure the heat of the market, that's gone from about 12%, which is on the cusp, the high end of a buyer's market, low end of a balanced market. Now we're at, in November, 17%. So that is balanced, but I think we're actually trending now back potentially into a seller's market. I've seen some bidding wars here. High quality product, if it's priced right, I've seen some bidding wars. So things have been heating up. Last on politics, talk a little bit about US politics here. I've noticed, I don't know if it's the Trump effect or what, but I have noticed a lot of inbound leads all of a sudden, just in the last few weeks, from the US registering on my website. I don't know what's going on here. I think it has a lot to do with Canada slashing its interest rates, because the US is reducing interest rates, albeit at a much slower pace, because their economy is still running quite hot. The Canadian economy right now does not look good. Unemployment's up. They are cutting interest rates pretty aggressively here. As I speak, it's a Tuesday, and the interest rate announcement is going to be tomorrow. It's either going to be a quarter point or a full half point. We'll see. But due to that, the Canadian dollar our loonie is just getting eviscerated here. We're trading around 70 cents on the dollar, and I think that's going to continue to decline. So as a U.S. investor, provided you have your PR status in Canada, that's going to start to look pretty attractive here with Canadian real estate trading at 70 cents on the dollar. So that could have an impact as well. But end of the day, I always leave on this caveat. Please, you guys, do not count on government, any government. Liberals, NDP, conservatives, it doesn't matter. They are not going to help you get into this housing market. If you're going to do it, it'll be on you. You're going to have to get a savings plan in place, talk to a mortgage broker, get your financing lined up. Nobody said it was easy, but if it's going to be done, it's going to be up to you. I'm Jay Coupar. Feel free to comment below or subscribe. Hit that green icon if you want a quick 15-minute Zoom call with me, and I'll see you in the next video.